Let's do a full face of new makeup releases, and I will give you my honest thoughts on each product. Starting off with something brand new, which I actually have not tried yet. This is the Étude Nymph Aura Volume Transparent Nymph Aura. Bit of a tongue twister. This is the makeup multi-cream designed to give you radiant looking skin. So this is new from Étude, which is AK beauty brand. I have really dry skin, so there's nothing I like more than a product which is supposed to be moisturizing that you can wear under makeup. Oh, it definitely feels like a serum rather than a cream. Just for my oily skin friends, I don't know if you're going to like this. It feels very oily. I don't even think it is oily, but it definitely feels very slick on the face. It's supposed to be glowy skin. I think it's leaning on greasy even on me right now, but let's see how it sits under makeup. So next is the Lisa Eldridge Concealer Pencil. I actually did a review about this where I wasn't hugely positive on it, and then Lisa Eldridge herself commented on my video and gave me some tips on how to use it, and actually it seems to be working a lot better for me now. So just make sure that your skin is exfoliated and moisturized before applying this, otherwise it will cling to dry patches. And I wouldn't necessarily use it under the eyes still because it makes me look a little bit cakey, but for these tiny little patches of red over the face, it works really well. For the rest of my base, it's the new Made by Mitchell skin range. Starting off with the Blur Primer. I've got this in the shade LBL4. I absolutely did not like this when I first tried it. Let's see if it looks any better over the Étude primer, but like I don't naturally have a lot of texture on my skin, but somehow this gave me texture that I didn't even know that I had. And in my opinion, it gives more Tin Man than glowy, but to be honest, I know a lot of people really do like that look, and I've seen a lot of positive reviews on this, so maybe I'm in the minority, but I just really hate that. Texture wise, it doesn't look as bad as the first time I applied it, but I don't know if you can tell just in these areas, it's like very much accentuated my pores. The Build Foundation, I have this in the shade LBL10. I feel like I could just about make this work for me, and I know a lot of people don't love a doe foot applicator, but I actually really like this for a foundation. I feel like it allows you to control how much you're putting on, but in terms of the actual consistency of this and the way it blends, I prefer the Truth Tint. I actually really love the Truth Tint that he released last year, but this foundation just seems to look cakey on me. Maybe it would work better for people with oily skin, but on my dry skin it definitely clings to dry patches. I initially tried it without the primer, and then everyone was commenting like, you got to try it with the primer, it works really well. This is what it looks like for me underneath the primer. I just think it looks cakey and ugh. And then lastly, the Brighten Concealer. I have this in the shade LBR3. This is way too light for me, and in general, I found the shade range of all of these products incredibly hard to navigate. And then on top of that, I just didn't like the way this concealer sits under my eyes, and it doesn't offer as much coverage as I was hoping or expecting as well. Again, I prefer the Bulk Balm that he released last year. So yeah, safe to say overall not big on the Made by Mitchell skin collection. However, I do really like a lot of other products by Made by Mitchell, so I think it's just hit or miss for me. I completely forgot I was supposed to be blending everything with the new HNB brush set, so I will use the rest of the set for the rest of my makeup. However, I'll just quickly touch on the foundation and concealer brushes because I absolutely love these. This is such an interesting shape for foundation brush, but it really works. And you'll see with the rest of these brushes as well, they all have really interesting shapes, and they are all genuinely such good quality. I can't recommend this brush set highly enough, and it comes in this very convenient zip packet, so I have been putting all of my brushes in here and taking it with me on holiday. So moving on to bronzer, we got the Kash Beauty bronzer. This isn't actually a new release, I don't think, but it is new to me. I only tried Kash Beauty for the first time recently, and I could not recommend this brand enough. Everything I tried from them is really good, and also not too expensive, and it's an Irish brand. I tend to really love Irish brands, so I'm going to use this HNB contour brush to blend this out. I just find this brush so satisfying because you can sort of tap things, but you can also blend them downwards because of the shape of it. As you can see, the Kash Beauty bronzer blends really beautifully. It's maybe just like a tad too warm for me. This is the lightest shade. It's shade Soft Soul, by the way, but I can just about make it work, and it's such a beautiful sheer buildable formula that it doesn't really matter anyway. For blush, it's not the newest of the new, but it's the re-released formulas of the MAC Glow Play blushes. I actually had one in the original formula and I got it in the new formula, and I honestly can't tell a difference, but either way, I absolutely love these blushes. Like you'll see, it adds such a natural flush of colour, but it's really easy to build up and it never ever looks patchy. This colour, True Harmony, is also one of the nicest shades I've tried for pale skin. And then on top of that, I just think the finish of it is really beautiful. It's like glowy, but not too glowy. So it just sort of gives your skin this sort of lit from within glow. Then to set everything, we've got the new Tarte Creaseless powder. So this powder actually reminds me a lot of the Huda Beauty Easy Bake powder. It's even got the same sort of like net packaging, but I potentially even prefer it because it comes with a little puff in the lid, which is so adorable. So I tap this out in the back of my hand. The only problem with this powder is I got this in the shade pink, and I don't know if it comes across well over camera, but this shade does not work for pale skin. I have other pink powders, so I thought it would, but I clearly got it wrong. So I need to go and get another shade of this powder, and I definitely think I will because I absolutely love the formula of it. It is very mattifying, which I usually don't like, but this one genuinely does blur. Like a lot of mattifying powders, for me, obviously as someone with dry skin, they just really cling to dry patches, or they make me look super cakey under the eyes. And this one, in my opinion, genuinely is very smoothing under the eyes. I did a wear test in my original review of this, and it also wears really well, at least on my skin. So real shame that the shade doesn't work, but I will definitely be buying the lighter shade because I really love the powder. So for brows, we've got the new Benefit Mighty Fine Brow Pen. This is the one with 3 prongs. Make sure you shake before use. There have been some sort of similar brow launches to this recently, but this one really works for me better than a lot of the others. Right now my mirror is really far away, so it's really hard for me to do this over camera. But this one's like pigmented enough that it lasts me for quite a while without having to sort of like close the lid and shake it again. But it's quite versatile because it can be really pigmented and really fill out your brows, but you can also press a little bit more gently like I'm doing now and sort of just fill out your brows in a very natural way. So it's not like the most precise brow pen I've tried out of all of them, but as you can see, it just sort of adds this sort of like base color to my brows. So I like all of the brow pens that I've tried in this sort of ilk, but I do think this is the easiest one to use, although it's very hard to demonstrate that when my mirror is so far away. Continuing with brows, I'm going to use the Unicorn Cosmetics Bare Brows on the Go. This is new from Unicorn Cosmetics. This is just sort of like a normal brow gel. They actually released this and another one called Teddy Texture at the same time. Now Teddy Texture is a little bit different in that it's like soap brows in a tube, so you literally just pick it up from the tube, press your brows down, and you're good to go. It is incredible, but I'm just using this one today because it's such a good dupe of the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter, which is one of my absolute favorite brow gels. And this one is literally the same. It's got a very similar wand. It sticks your brow hairs up without sticking them like to your face like soap brows. So I personally prefer this slightly fluffier brow look that this gives you. Next is the e.l.f. Finest Fleck Glitter Eyeshadow. Again, it seems like ages ago these were released, although it really wasn't that long ago. I got this in the shade Champagne Showers. This is such a nice eyeshadow. I use this pretty much every day as a one and done. It's like glittery enough that it could work for a night out, but it's also natural enough that you can wear it every day and you can wear it by itself or as a topper. It's not as glittery as a lot of people were saying, to be honest, but I did a comparison between this and the Urban Decay Space Cowboy, which this is supposedly a dupe for, and it definitely is a dupe, and I would say it's even better actually. Space Cowboy does basically nothing for me personally, whereas this one actually looks really pretty on the eyes by itself. Continuing with eyes, we've got 2 relatively new products from Haus Labs. So the Clear Cut Liquid Eyeliner, which they released last year, and then the new mascara that they launched very recently in the UK. Starting with the eyeliner, so this is another one you have to shake before use. I do like it. It's pretty easy to use for hooded eyes, and it's definitely one of the most black eyeliners I've ever seen. Like, I compared it with some of my more recent eyeliner favorites, and it's definitely very pigmented. What's weird about this one is that sometimes it's really easy to use, like it was just now, and then other times it feels incredibly sticky. Like, it really sort of sticks and drags my eye out and then makes the line wonky and I have to start again, and that seems to happen every other time, so I just don't really understand this. It also doesn't last as well as some of my other liquid eyeliners. It lasts fine and it doesn't smudge, but it definitely fades, especially where my creases are for me personally. So it's not my absolute favorite, but I do still use it sometimes. The mascara, however, I reviewed this very recently and I did a wear test, and unfortunately it is not a tubing mascara, so it definitely doesn't last on me. It gives me panda eyes by the end of the day. Not as bad as some other mascaras I've tried, but if you're similar to me and mascaras smudge on you very easily for some reason, then this one will definitely smudge on you, sadly. And it is actually a real shame because I really like the way it makes my lashes look. It really separates them out. It gives just the right amount of volume. But yeah, I have loads of mascaras that don't smudge on me by the end of the day, so I just won't be using this one again. Last but absolutely not least, we've got the re-release shades of the MAC lipsticks. So this is the Macximal Sleek Satin Lipstick in the shade Blankety. Obviously, MAC is in the throes of re-releasing basically every single shade they've ever created, but I really wanted to try this one because I was looking for the perfect nude lipstick for pale skin, and this is absolutely the closest that I have found to the perfect nude for me. It's not too warm, not too cool. I also absolutely love the formula of these. I also tried the Macximal matte lipsticks when they reformulated those, and I do like the lipsticks and they last a long time, but they really look cakey on my lips, especially if you reapply them throughout the day, whereas this one, I can reapply it as much as I want and it always looks really nice, even on my lips, which are pretty dry. So honestly, could not recommend these lipsticks enough. So that is the completed look of all new or newish makeup. Overall from afar, I do think it looks really great. If I come up close, I am really not liking how my skin is looking because of the Made by Mitchell stuff. And honestly, the Étude thing, as I was doing my makeup, I was thinking, I don't think I do like the way this is sitting on my skin, but it's not awful. So I'm going to start doing a lot more series of the full face of. So this is a full face of new makeup, which I'll probably do, you know, once a month or whenever I've got enough new makeup to do a full look. But I'll also be doing full faces of specific brands. So please let me know in the comments which brands you want me to do first. So let me know what you think of all of these products I've tried, and thanks for watching.